Well, a very good day to you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Candy Talk here on Herman Manyora's YouTube channel. My name is Evans Okinyi, and it's my pleasure to have you on board on Kenya's most comprehensive political and public governance analysis show. This fine morning, I'm joined by my resident guest, who's been here with us for the whole of this year, and of course, we began early last year. I'm here with Wakili Willis Otieno, who's been part of this family and of course has been at the forefront in terms of analyzing our politics here and dispensing civic knowledge to the people here. Wakili, good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
I'm okay.
Yes.
Seems like you're not tired with the Lord's work.
No. We must do the Lord's work. That is all that we exist for. To serve the Lord and in honor of humanity. We do what the Lord expects of us on this earth. Make the world a better place for the next person. Yes, and part of civic education is to make this country a better place for everybody who is within the borders of Kenya. That is what we must do.
Okay. So far, so good with regards to what we've been doing here. Do you believe that perhaps the government is actually listening to some of these heavy matters that we actually discuss here and maybe kind of trying to do or rather make corrections where necessary?
No, what happens is that we've been able to have them climb down on some of the other stances. But Kenya Kwanza and William Ruto have a proclivity for coming up with some very base suggestions and policies. So in as much as they extinguish the fire on one end, they know how to light another fire. That is why civic education must be constant.
Okay.
We must continue holding them to account. Because one thing that we must all appreciate is that in any society, for democracy to thrive, you must have eternal vigilance by the citizenry. And eternal vigilance is very key when it comes to holding a state to account. Without it, especially if you have a kind of a system led by William Ruto and his Kenya Kwanza, they can easily go rogue. I mean, this is a regime that has killed over 60 young people, and there's no accountability to date. This is a regime that forcefully abducts and disappears people. This is a rogue regime, so eternal vigilance from the citizenry is necessary to hold it to account and to stop it from going into further excesses than what it is doing.
Step into Brooklyn Boutique in Juja today at JB Stores, first floor in Juja. Discover the latest women's fashion in jewelry, clothes, shoes, bags, and purses. Call us today at 0721 348 629. Brooklyn Boutique, where style meets elegance.
Most of the times when you see the president speak in such a manner as he has been speaking and calling Kenyans the names that he's been calling them, then people are actually wondering what is wrong with the president at this particular moment in time. Is it that he's not able to handle criticism, especially from Kenyans? You know,
William Ruto is unhinged. The man is unraveling in office, and he cannot take it. And I said this when we started, that if you look at William Ruto when he ascended to office, what vision did he sell to the nation? I didn't see any vision. What I saw was an operations officer. He said, I'm going to appoint judges. I'm going to bring subsidized fertilizer. So once you appoint the judges, what about it? Once you bring the subsidized fertilizer, which turned out to be fake, what about it? There was no vision. So even in our food sector, I'm yet to see a vision on boosting agricultural productivity. It's about operations. He's not talking a vision. He's talking about operations, activities within a particular sector. And that is why when people challenge him on these many activities, because you look at it, these activities that he's doing, they are not correlated. You cannot tell how this activity tied to the next one fit to a particular vision. There's not that vision. And Kenyans are now more critical. Kenyans are more knowledgeable. Kenyans are more aware. And they're engaging more in their governance issues. So they're going to ask more questions. In the campaigns, when he said Asla Dynasty, when he said Mama Boga Boda Boda, people are not questioning him. That was political rhetoric, those sound bites. But now he's in office, people have to question him. Because they are seeing everything he has ever said does not come to pass. I've always told you, for me, if I want to plan my life, I look at William Ruto's statements for the day. And I plan opposite, knowing that the opposite will happen. Then you're able to have a more organized week. But if you listen to William Ruto and believe whatever he says, you are the fool. because there's nothing that is ever said that has come to pass. And Kenyans are vocally questioning him on all platforms, be it social media, be it in public forums. People are questioning him. People have seen through him. And he can't take it. That is why you are seeing a man unraveling, unhinged, before our eyes. He is very angry every single day he comes out to speak to Kenyans. Who is he angry with? And why is he angry? Why not just speak on the issues that he believes Kenyans care about? Why not do that which he was elected to do? He cannot do it. He's a spectacular failure in office. And Kenyans are right to call him out. Because the office he is holding is a public trust. It is for the benefit of the people. And if the people have rejected you, it's not your stock to turn angry and start shouting at them, calling them names. If not Pepo Mbaya, Mara, you call them Watu Wajinga. I mean, when did they become Wajinga? When did they become paper possessed? After they questioned you? Because the same group, if they start cheering you, now they're no longer possessed by papers. But that is William Ruto for you.
Okay. Okay, the president here actually seems to indicate to us that in terms of service delivery, there are certain things that he's actually managed to achieve, but maybe it's not being communicated clearly outside there to the people. Or it is that Kenyans have actually decided to just focus on the negatives of this particular government. What do you have to say about this?
Which are these things that you can say the President Ruto has achieved? It's very important that before you even discuss the question of a president, you should ask yourself, what are the TORs of a president? What are the terms of reference of a president? Because once you identify the terms of reference of a president, his TORs, then you are able to tell if he is answering to those TORs. The one of the main terms of reference of a president is on the economic front. We want to see an economy that is stable. We want to see an economy that creates jobs for people based on their qualifications. People have money in their pockets. They're able to access their basic needs. It's that simple. So anything else that you talk about are tasks. So if you are saying you are going to sell about affordable housing, that's a task. It's not your terms of reference. It's a task. So you ask yourself, how does this affordable housing, so-called affordable housing, fit into my TORs as a president? Is an intervention to do community housing at a lower cost? Is an intervention to stimulate the economy? And you ask yourself, with this much money that I'm throwing into the sector, will it stimulate this particular economy? When I rob citizens through the housing levy of their money to throw it into this housing, affordable housing project, is it going to stimulate the economy or is it going to degrade it? You understand?
Yes.
Now, he will go there standing very loudly, cheering about affordable housing, which in any event is not affordable. I've said before, the houses in the affordable housing are even more expensive than the houses offered by the private sector in same regions. But what have you done to the economy when you decide to increase taxes for people? You are charging them a percentage of their salaries to go into the affordable housing levy. You've deprived them of income. You've deprived them of disposable income that they could have used to spend in your economy. So you can imagine if the entire country, their teachers, let me take that category, number one, teachers alone, are in every village in this country. Now, if at a minimum, every month, you are taking off a teacher's salary, approximate 1,000 Kenya shillings. That was 1,000 shillings that was disposable income available to that teacher. You've taken it away. That teacher, if he was buying a loaf of bread every morning, now he cannot buy that loaf of bread. Across the country, he may buy half a loaf or look for substitutes. If he was buying 1 kg of sugar, he can now not afford 1 kg of sugar, he'll buy half a kg or quarter kg. So you start seeing in that locality where the teachers are, there is less money circulating because you took away the money the teacher was using in that economy and you threw it into some funny structures here in Ngara or Embu. Doesn't make sense. So in as much as you're showing us brick and mortar as a flagship project, but you have failed on your terms of reference. Because the number one terms of reference is the economy. This intervention is actually hindering the economic growth of this nation. It's not facilitating. You understand?
Yes.
Then he will tell you we've employed construction workers in those houses. But compare the number of construction workers employed there vis-a-vis the teachers who've been deprived of disposable income and other workers. That makes sense. So we are judging William Ruto based on his terms of reference as a president, not on the activities that he's doing. And he cannot tell us that we judge him based on the activities alone. We look at the broader TOR of a president. Is he working well on the economic front? Him is trying to tell us, discuss activities, discuss affordable housing. You can't discuss those houses in isolation. You must look at those houses within the rubric of the entire economy. And I'll tell you another thing about that affordable housing. Once you take people's money and you build those houses, and you end up going to borrow, in fact, the money you've collected from the people, it's the people's money, you go to the domestic market to lend it, to borrow, to lend it to the banks. I mean, to take loans or treasury bills and bonds from the banks. Interest rates are high. The bank, because government is borrowing from the bank, the banks will maintain a higher interest rate for an individual. So whereas interest rate for the individual could have been even 5%, now because government is borrowing at 15%, an individual going to the bank will be told to pay an interest rate of 20, 25, depending on credit worthiness. So you have no access to capital. So there is no production that is taking place. So you just failed on that. Look at security. The other term of reference of our president is security. Look at security. Take his signature activity, the Haiti mission. He decides to commit our officers to go to Haiti, saying it's a US-Kenya mission. The US-Kenya mission ends up being a Kenya mission. The US is not paying money for those officers. The UN has refused to take over the mission. Kenya now has officers in Haiti. We now need to pay them 2.8 billion to maintain the mission in Haiti. To what end? You've deprived us of people who should be manning our security, our borders. You've given us an obligation to pay for a mission that does not make any sense to us. So, his terms of reference is failing on. Look at foreign relations. The first thing William Ruto did when he became president was to issue the statement on Western Sahara, attracting the ire of Morocco. The next thing we are seeing him in somewhere in Italy, condemning Russia on the issue of Russia and Ukraine conflict. Before you know it, he's in Geneva, talking about Israel, the victims, and Palestinians are terrorists. When there are AU positions on these issues, all of them, there's AU positions. So he's even taking an opposition that is contrary to the interests of the people, even of the continent. Why not just align with the AU position on some of these issues, even if you don't know? So in the international front, he has failed. He went to White House with Meg Whitman. They thought now they had reached. What happened? They took a bad omen to Biden. His party lost. Meg is out of the country. So internationally, what does he have remaining? Raila is struggling very hard to campaign in the AU, not of Raila's failures, but because Raila is now looked as the Kenya candidate. And everybody in the international press is looking at how Kenya has been behaving. So he has to explain himself twice as hard. Because of poor international relations. He doesn't know and to understand how to play the geopolitics. His mouth runs freely, creating enemies that are not necessary. So, for me, the TORs of our president, I'm not seeing which one is responding to. That's why we are criticizing him.
Okay.
And we are not going to be dovetailed into looking at tasks, activities. No. The TORs he has failed. The basic TORs of our president, he's failed.
Okay, well, that is what you're saying, but it seems like the president is saying is actually on the right track, according to him. And maybe the problem there is that as a communication. But let's wait and see. We are in this particular festive season, and of course, Christmas is here with us. I wonder what your expectations would be as we come to the close of this particular year, heading into the year 2025.
I think the Kenyan people started the year very well, and they've stayed on course in the national conversation on the issues of governance and the economy. So next year, pale, we pick it up where we left. We must finish with Sakaja. Kasongo must go. That's the only thing that will save this country. Yeah.
So it has been a rough 2024 for President William Ruto. You expect 2025 to be rougher?
Yes.
Please be kind of fair to the president.
Why can't he be fair to Kenyans? It seemed to be fair to Kenyans.
Okay. Well, Wakili, you've been part of us and you've been part of this family. Maybe your last word to our viewers and our listeners at this particular moment in time as we prepare to celebrate Christmas and usher in the new year before we begin again in 2025.
The most important thing I will say is that Christmas is a time to celebrate the birth of Christ, and Christ lives in us, all of us. So anybody you see who needs a helping hand, who needs a shoulder, reach out to your friend, reach out to your neighbor, reach out to your colleague, your compatriot. We're all Kenyans. And it's our duty to always do good. You lose nothing when you do good. A candle loses nothing when it lights another. Let us be the opposite of William Ruto, who all that he knows is doing bad to the people of Kenya. Kenyans are much better. Let's be each other's brother. We are our brothers' keepers, and we are our sisters' keepers. Thank you, and Merry Christmas.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being part of us. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year from this family. Allow me to stop the conversation at this particular moment. Till we have it again, have yourself a lovely day. My name is Evans Okinyi.
Step into Brooklyn Boutique in Juja today at JB Stores, first floor in Juja. Discover the latest women's fashion in jewelry, clothes, shoes, bags, and purses. Call us today at 0721 348 629. Brooklyn Boutique, where style meets elegance.